Everyone has a story to tell. It's my mission to tell it. Unscripted, unedited, we are on the record.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarina Fazan. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of On the Record. You know, here for this show, here at CB Communications and Red House Streaming, we really try to share messages of support and thank the people that have served this community and this country so well. And who better to thank than the military? But oftentimes they do sacrifice, they give the ultimate sacrifice. And we're here to remember the amazing veterans. Joining me today is Kelly Kowall, her brother Tyson Schoeff. We're honoring your son, my life after Corey, your baby, and you have started an amazing nonprofit, My Warrior's Place.
Yes.
So thank you both so much for being here. We really appreciate it, brother and sister.
Pleasure. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
It really is my honor to have you here. Kelly, let's start with you, and please share the story about your son.
Well, Corey wanted to be in the military from a very early age. He was one of those children that just knew what he wanted to do. He had that calling, and he never wavered. In fact, he wanted to be airborne so bad that he used to practice jumping out of trees.
Wow.
Yeah, just so he could learn to land properly. And one time he didn't land properly and ended up in the hospital with a broken collarbone, and we thought he was going to have his spleen removed. But
Oh my gosh, how old was he at that time?
probably about 14, 15.
Wow.
Yeah, he wasn't driving yet. And we kind of told him, you know, you're going to ruin your career before you ever get it started. So that did stop him from jumping out of planes, but I mean, out of trees.
It didn't stop him jumping out of planes.
No, it didn't stop him from that. No, no.
He would also go outside, I mean, like in the dead of winter when it was just so frigid cold.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to get experience in that type of environment.
Yeah.
You are kidding. Okay, so where were you living at the time then?
In Tennessee.
In Tennessee.
Yeah.
And when you said from the very beginning,
Yeah.
how old was he when he first told you?
3.
3 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, does everybody in the audience have goosebumps too? Because I certainly have them. So 3 years old. And
Yeah.
okay, as a mom at 3 years
Yeah.
old though, you're thinking, you know, oh my gosh, and he's your baby, right?
Yeah.
Are you thinking, okay, it's so commendable to serve, of course, in the military, but
Yeah, you know, at that point, you just kind of think, you know, he's playing with the toy soldiers and, you know, that kind of thing, and you're thinking, he's going to grow out of this. So just let him enjoy, you know, that time. But he never did. And he went into Civil Air Patrol when he was actually 9, but you can't really become a member till you're 10. So he learned to fly planes. He was 16 years old, and I was in the back seat of a little Cessna with his teacher up front with him, and we did like 6 touch and goes. It was scary. You think about being a backseat driver to your child learning to drive a car, let
an
alone
airplane?
An airplane.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah.
So he joined the Air Force.
No, he joined the Army.
The Army, because I was going to
Yeah.
say, when you think of planes, you know, you automatically go to the Air Force.
Right. I really thought that he would, but no, he wanted to jump out of them.
He was a unique person
was.
because I actually tried to talk him out of going into the military right out of high school. Had that conversation with him. Go to college first, you know, go in as an officer. But he wanted to do it from the ground floor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He always said that everyone he talked to, veterans that he talked to, always said that the best commanding officers were those that worked their way up through the ranks, not the ones that got out of college. And so he wanted to be a leader, but he wanted to do it that way.
And clearly a very supportive and loving family, a mother and uncle.
Yeah.
So what happened then? He entered right after high school.
He did. He was only 17. He went to summer school. He wanted to go in so bad. He went to summer school so he could graduate a year early. So he was only 17 when he went in, and his father and I had to sign the papers to allow him to go in at 17. So he served for 3 years, and then he was killed in Afghanistan on a combat mission in a vehicle rollover. And, you know, I mean, you're never prepared. You know when they're serving that is a possibility, but you're never, that knock on the door, you're never prepared.
He was in the turret on the 50 cal. They came under fire.
Yeah.
Convoy sped up. Then they came across something in the road, and they had to swerve and due to the weight of the turret, it flipped.
There are no proper words of our condolences. We are so, so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
To go back to that day when he was 17 and you and your husband and, with the family support.
Well, we were divorced at the
you were
time,
doing-
his dad.
His dad. I'm sorry. This show is.
Let me make that clear.
Still family, just brought her apart.
Right, yes, and so I'm glad that we could laugh, right? I am glad we could laugh. This show is unscripted, unedited, as you know, the questions just flow. So his dad, yes, definitely there is a difference between being married, but I'm glad you can laugh. Like we brought out some laughter. So at 17, when you and Corey's dad made this huge decision for him to go, what were you thinking at that time? And was this a huge family conversation?
Not so much a huge family conversation. I think it's just, when you have a child that has a dream, you want to be supportive, even if you're like going, I'm not so sure, but when you have someone who's so driven, it's 9/11 had, been there, and I mean, everybody was really gung-ho about, supporting the military and everything. And I think, you know that is a possibility, but you have to look at the odds. I was more concerned about him coming back and how he was going to be affected by
seeing everything.
Right.
Because you see all the veterans that come back and know that they're really having to deal with a lot.
Absolutely, because we've seen it. I mean, sadly, so many, we see so many homeless that are, and it's such a shame that here they are serving the country and they're homeless. They're dealing with so many people dealing with PTSD,
Anxiety, depression.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right.
So did I'm horrible about it, but did 9/11 then influence?
Not really, because that's all he ever wanted to do. So I mean, that from an early age, that was way before 9/11. But I think his father and I understood it a little better with 9/11. That desire, and thank God we have people that are willing to put on that uniform and go serve, put their life on the line so that we can have the freedoms that we have.
Again, no proper words of thanks.
I think he was so driven to do it that going in was just a natural progression of who he was and what he was trying to establish. He got into buying military surplus stuff.
Yeah.
He somehow showed up with a helicopter door. You remember that?
Oh yeah, we used to joke about we wouldn't be surprised to find a tank in our front yard one day, because he was so into Vietnam and World War II history.
Right.
And his whole room was decorated Vietnam era. He had a canopy, a parachute canopy up on his ceiling, and
Wow.
yeah, he loved it.
So I know it's extremely difficult, but going back to that day, 3 years later, you got the knock on the door.
Yeah.
When you heard that knock, we think about it, we see it in movies, we see it in television shows.
Yeah.
I cannot even begin to picture what you were thinking and going through. Did you know at that moment?
I knew they weren't coming to tell me he had been injured and was in a hospital somewhere. I mean, but you're hoping that.
How did you know? Was it a gut instinct as a mother?
Well, actually, his father actually called me to let me know that they're on their way there, because he had been notified, and I guess they had gotten lost finding my house, and so he contacted me, and I mean, when he said their military's on the way there, have they arrived yet? And I'm like, no, why would they be coming here? And he goes, well, Corey's gone. And I'm like, gone where? Your mind just doesn't want to go there. And he goes, no, he's gone. And I'm like, well, Corey wouldn't go AWOL. What do you mean he's gone? He goes, he's dead. And I mean, it was only at that point that it started sinking in, and you're like, no, 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 you know, hanging up the phone. No, this can't be. But then, you know, when they arrive and they're knocking on the door, that's up until that point, you're still telling yourself this is not true. But when they knocked on the door, I mean, I never knew really what a primal scream was until I heard it coming out of my own mouth.
That's the same
as I
thing
was
here. Yeah,
sinking to my knees.
I don't even know how I got to know about it. I mean, I can't remember who called me. But the sound that came out, it was just...
And you don't even realize that it's you. And isn't that something that the first thing, like your mind couldn't even go to the fact that he wasn't with us.
Right.
It went to AWOL, like there's no way he would do that, or what do you mean, like he left the country, you know?
Right.
So, again, I cannot even imagine. The love of a child is just indescribable and such a huge gift. Like, you don't understand the love of children until you have one, right? Or, you know, you're blessed as an uncle or
I can't imagine what she's going through. I know what I'm going through, you know? My mom, my kids, everybody.
And you're a father of two, right? You are a father of two, Tyson.
Yeah, no, I couldn't imagine it.
So what did it, and I know I really appreciate the two of you talking about this, because I know how extremely difficult it is, but we are hoping, and we'll talk more about it in the second half of the show, about the message and what we all can do to help, and more about your charity. But back to that time, again, I can't even imagine, how did you, and I know you'll always have that hole in your heart, but how did you guys pick yourself up and resume life?
It's, you know, your life is never the same. You learn to carry the grief a little better. You learn how to take that step. Thank God your body knows how to breathe and do the basic necessities that you have to do to live, such as eat, because that first year, you're kind of just in a real frozen state. But as you start unthawing, the processing the emotions and everything that goes with the loss of a loved one, you have a choice. You have a choice to wallow in that forever, or to try to do something positive out of it.
You talked about that in the book.
And that's exactly what you did.
Yes.
So we are going to go to a break right now, and we're going to talk about how you survived it. You're a survivor, and you did something so positive that are changing lives of so many members of the military. So stay with us, everybody. We're going to come right back, and we're going to talk about My Warrior's Place.
You use maps for travel, but did you know there's mapping for your skin? It's called Visia Skin Analysis.
Above average, that's pretty good.
Here's why I used it at South Tampa Dermatology. It scans your skin for sun damage and wrinkles. You can see how your skin compares with others in your age group. Why is this important?
So here's what we'll do.
It can target a treatment program to meet your needs and save your skin over time. Another reason why I rely on the dream team at South Tampa Dermatology.
Label Swap is a retail store that you can bring in the items you don't want anymore. We will buy them for either a cash offer or store credit, and you can also shop the items as well. We carry anything from H&M, Lululemon, up to your luxury items like Gucci and Louis Vuitton. There's nothing really around like it here in the market. It is a fun, personalized experience.
Welcome back, everyone, to On the Record. Certainly a difficult show today. We're honoring the military and veterans. And joining me is Kelly Kowall, Tyson Schoeff. Kelly, you lost your son Corey at 20 years old, your nephew. We can't even thank him for his service. Died overseas, Afghanistan, serving this country in the Army. So we were just talking about, getting that knock on the door, the realization that, he is gone here from this earth, but of course his soul lives on. As a mother and as an uncle, you decided to come back and do good.
Yeah.
And you tell us about what you started.
Actually, Corey started coming to me in various ways after he died. And I did not say anything to anyone because I really did not want the guys with the straitjackets to come and haul me off. But Corey and God both kind of led me on this journey. I had no say, really. But we started a nonprofit called My Warrior's Place. And it is a 5-acre retreat center in Ruskin, Florida. And we house veterans, military service members, law enforcement, firefighters, both actively serving and those that have gotten out, and families of the fallen. And it's like a vacation place where they can come. It's a very relaxing there. It's very calming. There's really something special about the property. Everybody says that when they go out there, and just it's a feeling that you get when you're there. But
it was meant to be. I mean, every step of the way, from the very beginning, we started with the boating excursion and just how she got the boat. Little miracle after little miracle after little miracle.
yeah, divine intervention, for sure.
Not just one. I mean, just you talk about a door closing and another one opening, and you think that this door is a great door. I want to go through this door. This is awesome. This is awesome. And it closes, and it's like crap.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, here's this door, and it's a better opportunity. And this property. And
is it detail? Is all of this detailed in the book as well?
It's in the book, but it's so much beyond what's in the book. And the property, tell her about the property.
Yes, please, because we are also doing what is called like a news super, where it has the website and where you can go, right? You can get the book and learn more about it. But yes, please tell us about the property.
So we're right on the Little Manatee River, 1 mile from the bay. So we have veterans, I call them American heroes, veterans, law enforcement,
American
firefighters.
heroes
Yeah,
is
American
so
heroes.
American
Which includes
heroes.
first responders, your police, sheriff's office, paramedics, fire, etc.
And families of the fallen as well come out. They can fish off of our docks. They can grab canoes, kayaks, go out canoeing or kayaking. We still provide the boating trips, the fishing trips, the pleasure boat trips. But we also have several more amazing programs that we've added now. One of them just recently was My Service Dog's Place. And a lot of people don't realize this, but if you are an American hero and have a service dog and have a medical emergency, you got to figure that dog's with you 24/7. So if you're in a car wreck.
It's a service dog. You expect that dog to be with you, right?
Right.
Yeah. Heart attack, stroke, appendicitis. If you don't have a family member or a friend to take that dog, it's going to the pound.
Oh my gosh.
They don't allow it in the VA.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Gosh, and that is something we definitely, I looked into that when I worked in traditional news. That is definitely something that needs to change.
Right.
That these service dogs cannot go to the pound.
Right.
And so we are actually now housing those service dogs at no cost to the American hero while they get the medical treatment that they need. Our only problem is we grossly underestimated the need. We only built a 4-kennel facility. We're now trying to raise the money to build a 10-kennel facility. But we have in fact, a veteran in the hospital right now. I mean, he had emergency surgery because something went wrong with his intestines. And, we've had his dog for 2 weeks now, and it'll probably be another couple of weeks before he is able to get out.
Same thing, I mean, if somebody's Baker acted,
Yeah.
you know, and you touched on it earlier, these veterans that come out and, you know, life is not always rosy for them, and they're trying to make their way through life, and all of a sudden they hit a rough patch, and whatever happens, they're coming out and they're Baker acted. Well, they need that service dog.
Yeah.
But the police will not allow that service dog at the prison. Dog then ends up going to the pound. And so not only will they take the dog in and take care of that dog, but once that person is released either from the VA or, you know, from, you know, wherever they are, they will provide free transportation to My Warrior's Place to reunite with the dog, and then free transportation from there to get them back home.
It's one of the amazing programs that you're continuing to develop.
Yeah. The other one that I think, I mean, they all are good, but the other one I think that really makes a huge difference is our Project Corregidor program, and that is a holistic mind, body, soul that we pair up with fun events. We just got through doing one this weekend, so we had 7 veterans come in on Thursday, stayed on the property all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we ended it. But it helps them to shift their thinking a little bit, helps give them holistic ways such as breath work and other holistic modalities to help them with PTSD, anxiety, depression. And we always team it with something fun. So this one was barbecue. So we had national barbecue champions come in and actually teach them how to barbecue. But when you get to see them, when they're able to talk with other veterans that have been there, done that, and sit around a campfire at night, and we have specific topics that we may touch on, but let the conversation go where it is. We have licensed therapists there with us as well. It's amazing. Being able to provide that safe space where they're able to talk about things without worrying about what anybody's going to say, or no judgment, nothing. And there's
so many different directions I'd like to go, but Corregidor, of course, obviously Corey. My dad, our father, used to call Corey Corregidor.
yeah, that nickname.
Corey,
So that's
gave him
where,
that nickname.
So
Corey,
that's where the name came from.
Corey had no idea what it stood for. My dad just kept saying, "You'll learn one day," because my father knew that he was into history, and it was after the Battle of Corregidor. And so one day, Corey figured out what it was. Came back, they had that conversation with my dad, and so anyway, Corregidor is embedded throughout My Warrior's Place.
Give people who may not know the history. Share the history.
The history of Corregidor. So it was a very strategic island in the South Pacific during World War II. And the Japanese surrounded the island, and we had to surrender. And a lot of blood was shed, and lives were lost during that. But it was so strategic that we had to come back and take it back. And we did. So again, more bloodshed, more lives lost, but that triumph over defeat. And so we kind of felt like Corregidor was the perfect name to give this program.
Isn't that something? In going back to the family history. So let me ask you though, with the Warrior's Place, and there are so many programs and so many wonderful things, how can a veteran, an American hero, a first responder, the families, how can they come to a Warrior's Place?
Well, one way they can come and stay with us in our cottages is go to our website, and under our programs, the drop down, it lists the different programs that we have, and the retreat center is one of them, so they can go online and actually request to come to My Warrior's Place. Now, we do ask minimum donation amount to stay overnight in our cottages to help us cover the cost of the electric and the water and things like that. But I mean, compared to a hotel, I mean, you can have a 1-bedroom, fully furnished kitchen, dining room, living room, bedroom, bathroom for as little as $55 a night.
Wow.
You know,
Yes,
so-
that's right.
Yeah,
So is that the minimum donation, or
Minimum donation of $55 a night, yeah. And
They have families coming out. You you can't do the place justice by talking about it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things you have to experience. And anytime that you're out there, especially with additional veterans, you know, they've gone through something that's unlike any of us, right? I was not a veteran, but I understand being out there. When they get together, it's just, they share that bond that is completely different than what we have. And it's its own little oasis. People who've never laughed before, all of a sudden they're out there laughing, they're out there fishing, they're having a great time, or whether it's the barbecue, it's completely different. The thing that I love about My Warriors Place is not only do you see these people who have gone through this and all of a sudden they're starting to come out of their shell, maybe get back to somewhat of a normal life, which was an extension. It's what Kelly saw, the original vision. When she first started taking people out of the water, she realized, it's going to be hard to get out. Once they got out of the water, all this crap started coming out. So she reached out to a friend who lived on the West Coast, not Florida, California, who was world renowned for the therapy work that she did with veterans, and said, hey, this is happening. Where can I send them to? And what was her response?
There is none. And then she said, so what are you going to do about it?
So what are you going to do about it? And here you go.
Yeah.
So, we made a lot of references to water, and believe it or not, the show is getting even closer to wrapping up.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell us the story, if you can, about, because you talk about the boating excursions and the significance of the significance of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have one story to share that I think really sums it up well. We took a veteran, sole survivor of a Humvee that had been blown up by IED. I had to learn to walk again, talk again. 2 little girls, mother, and we got them out on the boating trip, and they were fishing. And the boat captain we had, also veteran, who had learned to walk and talk again. And those two hit it off and were talking. And the girls were catching fish and everybody was laughing except for the mother. And she was sitting over there kind of like this. And the first mate, who's also a boat captain, but he's also a chaplain and a veteran, kept going over to, are you okay? Are you okay? Because he could tell by the body language and everything that something was going on. She kept saying she was fine. And finally, she was very adamant, I'm fine. And he was like, okay. But when they got back to the dock, she jumped off and ran and went to the gazebo and was crying. And he jumped off and followed her. And he said, look, I'm a chaplain, and I know fine, and this isn't it. And he goes, what's going on? He said, it looked like everybody was having a good time. What's going on? She goes, no, you don't understand. I have not heard my husband laugh in 5 years.
Oh, my gosh.
And I don't know what you did out there, but I don't want it to stop. And so, those are the kinds of things that happen at My Warriors Place. This family now comes down every year because this is their therapy for healing, and they come every year for 1 week. And
I got to throw this out. You want a napkin? Here you go. My Warriors Place survives purely on donations. Kelly's huge salary is $500 a month to help her cover expenses. All the money that comes in goes back into the program. And in fact, they need to raise funds to pay some people a minimum amount just to keep it going so they can continue growing. That's the passion, is to continue to get it to grow. And unfortunately, a lot of people, they hear My Warriors Place and this is great. And then they donate, and then they come to us and say, we donated. It's like, well, we didn't see the donation. Well, yeah, Wounded Warrior Project. No, it's not the Wounded Warrior Project. It's My Warriors Place. It's completely different. But the ideas that she has for My Warriors Place, to grow it. They want to put in permanent housing, more programs, the way that they can help. And so I personally would love it get to the point where they have the donations coming in, that she can spend her time out giving the talks, because she does talks nationally.
Right.
She does, and she's great at that. And she's great at helping people understand what it is that you go through, even if you're not injured, psychologically what you go through coming back, right? But then the impact of those that are wounded or lose their lives.
Well, just so you know, this is also why we wanted to share your story. We want to get your message out from My Warrior's Place. We also hope to be involved in your fundraiser coming up in November.
Yes.
I would encourage people to go to the website, to thank you so much for also not only giving me this book, but signing it personally.
You're welcome.
It means the world to me. It means, again, there are no proper words of thanks. And we would encourage people to, we're going to show a graphic right now, because I always tell people to email us their ideas, right, for show ideas, so we can share their story.
Right.
Well, someone talked to us, Tyson Ed Keels, about sharing your story.
Yeah.
We then encourage people to share the story
Right.
on multiple social media platforms,
Right.
and then watch the story, like, again, on all, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Roku, all podcasts. So we can help you get your word out.
Yeah, we have no paid staff. As he said, I got a $500 a month salary. No, I get a $500 a month stipend to allow me to pay for gas.
Yes.
Pretty much.
To get around.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're 100% volunteer run right now. And yes, as he said, we would love to be able one day to afford to pay some people a little bit, because it's a lot easier to, you can't fire a volunteer.
Right.
Right. As it is right now, if something happened to you, the entire, what you've created would just,
No, I don't think so. We have enough volunteers, I think, that are really,
I would hope so, but,
that can pick up the reins and run with it.
but it's
a big undertaking.
But it's
It
so
really is.
close to just exploding, and I could actually see places like this, I know you can, across the country, because it's needed. It's absolutely needed. But thank you for
Of
inviting
course,
us.
it's the least we can do
Yeah,
for our American heroes.
yeah.
Kelly Kowall, Tyson Schoeff, thank you so much for being here. And of course, the show is dedicated to your son.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for his service, and for all the military veterans and American heroes. That's the proper word. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and stay safe.